One more episode in our English Wine Weeks, and today I am joined by the head winemaker of Lyme Bay Winery, Sarah Massey. And this episode is not only for you guys when you are interested in English wine or in wine in general, it's also something if you're a fan of dinosaurs. Because Sarah and me, we share the passion for dinosaurs, for Earth history, for the history of the planet, for ancient times, prehistoric ages, whatever. And this also was part of the interview, and I really enjoyed it. It's full of interesting facts about English winemaking, about the drinks that people enjoy today and have enjoyed. And we don't only talk about wine, we also talk about cider and meat. And meat, yes, it's this honey wine. It is a thing in England, and Lyme Bay is a specialist for that. And Sarah opened up some interesting stories about that. So enjoy the episode with Sarah Massey at Lyme Bay Winery. Because you are my special, very special dinosaur guest, I changed the background to that one.
Yay! I love it.
Same. Welcome to the Pinot Pixel podcast episode number 165. Today, I'm excited to feature another young and great talent in the English wine industry, Sarah Massey, head winemaker at Lyme Bay Winery. Sarah's journey started as a traveling winemaker to the head winemaker of one of England's biggest wineries. And the story is very interesting and very inspiring. And we like to share it with our listeners. Sarah, welcome to the show. I know you've just came back from holiday. It's great seeing you again after, it was just a couple of weeks after London Wine Fair. So
Yeah,
how
it
are
wasn't
you
long
doing?
ago. I'm really great, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm very excited.
And then no, there is other people interested in having you on the pod. And so thanks for coming over here. Sorry, Andrew. We had this chat at the wine fair.
Obviously, I prioritized you. Andy can wait.
Thank you. Usually I start with one specific question. When did you fall in love with wine? But I want to start with a different question this time.
Oh.
How hard is it as a young woman in the English wine industry when you're into dinosaurs?
Well, it's actually quite easy for me because we are Lyme Bay Winery, so named after sort of the Lyme Bay on the Jurassic Coast, where we have lots of fossils and lots of really interesting history. There's a great little dinosaur museum not far from me, so I can sort of combine the whole stuff.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you have to come over.
Yes,
We'll go visit.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, where is it?
It's in Lyme Regis. It's really small and it's like kind of old and like funky, but it's great.
I've been to Lyme Regis and I was trying to find some fossils at the beach. The huge cliffs where you can just walk around.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go back there.
Yes.
Okay, so then let's start over. When did you fall in love with wine?
Oh, so I guess initially when I was 18, I got my first job at a winery at what was Sharpham's, now Sandwich Barton. And I sort of had an interest in wine and wanted to learn a bit more about it to see if I could pursue it as a career. So my first day, I sort of rocked up, ready just to work in the shop, maybe do tours and tastings. And I got to sit down through one of the tastings and tasted through like 8 different wines of theirs, and I was just blown away because A, I didn't realize you could make wines like that in England, but also B, I just don't think I'd really looked so much into different wines. I'd always at that point probably just drunk what my parents had, and I was just like, there's so much out there, so many different things you can do, and I was just like, well, this is incredible. This is what I want to do.
That's pretty exciting because I guess you are the 4th person I talked to who started their interest in wine or their career at Sharpham. So it seems like being the nucleus of the English wine industry.
Yeah, I think it's really great because obviously you got Tommy and Charlie. So we all worked at Sharpham at the same time and have sort of gone off and done our own things. But it's great how I think small but also big the English wine industry is. I mean, you're kind of connected to everyone without even realizing it.
Hmm. That's, yeah, definitely. Can you share a bit of your story, how you came from Sharpham to being or becoming a traveling winemaker and then becoming the head winemaker at Lyme Bay?
Yeah, so whilst I was at Sharpham, I ummed and ahed about going to university. So there's a place called Plumpton College, which does degrees in winemaking, wine business. And I sort of wanted to go, and then I kept putting it off because I loved being at Sharpham. Eventually went a few years later, got a degree in wine business. Because whilst I was interested in making wine, I just had this sort of little voice telling me that I wouldn't be able to do it. It would be too hard, and there's so much involved. But in my second year at uni, I got a bit sort of fed up and thought, you know what, why don't I just try it? So I got my first vintage in Burgundy, and I thought kind of this was make or break. I'll just do one vintage and see if I like it. I might try another, and if I don't, I'll go back to the wine business. I'll just do that side of it and stay away from the physical winemaking. But again, it was such a great experience. Just sort of 4 weeks non-stop working, incredibly hard, really long days. There are a few moments where you're just going, why am I doing this? But by the end of it, I was like, I've got to do this again. I was like, I've got to keep making wine and learning more about it. So from that point, I then sort of kept doing vintages. So I went to Sonoma in California. So I was basically just following Pinot Noir around the world, as you do. And then I was in Australia as well for a few vintages. Came back to England just to do one vintage at Lyme Bay because it's near my family. So I thought I'll just stop by, work a vintage, visit them, go back to Australia. But then the team here at Lyme Bay kind of really just sort of pulled me in and sold me on what they do here. So eventually I agreed that I'd actually come back full time. So I started off as assistant winemaker, and then over the last sort of 4 years, I've just sort of slowly worked my way up.
And how many years has this been? I mean, Sonoma, you said several vintages in Australia.
Yeah, so
Burgundy?
when was it? Burgundy was 2016, Sonoma 17, Australia would have been 1920, but obviously Southern Hemisphere vintages. And so then I did 19 onwards, Northern Hemisphere vintages at Lyme Bay.
Okay, so was there a deeper connection to Lyme Bay specifically, like family-wise, or I don't know?
No, so my family live about an hour away. And I never thought I'd settle so close to home. I was like, I'm gonna live somewhere nice and warm and exotic, and but no, I moved just down the road. But no, but it's Devon's a beautiful place, and I think it was just the sort of philosophy and the ethos that Lyme Bay had, what they wanted to do with English wines, particularly still wines, really sort of resonated with me because I've developed a huge love for sort of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, which are the main focus here. And it was so exciting to sort of jump into the English wine industry at that point with how it's developing, how it's growing over the last few years. There's a real sort of boom, I think, around it. And it's not just sparklings anymore, it is the still wines.
And it's super exciting that you are one of the few that are already or have turned 18 and still discover wine as an industry to look at. Because Tommy said it's quite tough to win young people, to gain young people for the wine industry, because usually they have figured it out at the age of 18 or 19 to study this or that. And before 18, you're not allowed to contact them. And so
No. Yeah, it's I think it is rare. I remember sort of growing up and a lot of my friends thinking I was weird because I liked wine and they still just wanted to drink vodka and and whatnot. But yeah, I think I was quite lucky that growing up I was allowed to taste wine from my parents, so it sort of gave me sort of a bit of a liking for it from a younger age, um, and sort of progress from there. But yeah, I think most people are sort of they take a bit longer to get into the sort of things like that, don't they?
And what made you choose Burgundy and Sonoma and Australia, despite the greatest variety of all times?
Um, well, Burgundy was kind of unintentional. I didn't go for the grapes. At that point, my big love was the Northern Rhone. I loved my Syrah and like that sort of spiciness. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, but I met a winemaker, and he did a guest lecture at my university, and how he spoke about wine and his passion just ignited something in me, and it made me remember why I was there in the first place. So I was just like, I really want to work with him. And so obviously he made Burgundian wines, and that was when I suddenly went, oh, there's something about this Pinot Noir that's actually quite nice. So he completely converted me. I went there going, oh, it's all right, and then I left going, I need more, because I just realized how beautiful of a grape it is, and what you can do. That it's just so elegant, and I absolutely love it. And Chardonnay as well is a winemaker's dream because you can do pretty much anything with it. It gets a bad rap still, I think, for people, the ABC Club, but I think anyone who thinks that just doesn't know Chardonnay at all.
Yeah, usually the people belonging to the ABC Club, they like Chablis because they have no clue.
Yes, my mum is one of them.
Okay, hi Sarah's mom. Okay, so the Northern Rhone brought you to France, and then you discovered there is Burgundy, and I want to go there.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
loved it.
being honest, did your love for wine ever led you to travel to wine regions that are known for fossils? Because I
Um,
did that.
did you? Where did you
Yeah,
go?
sure. There's so many places in southern France, specifically in
Ah.
Burgundy as well. And I made a trip in January to Burgundy, and I brought back only 4 kilos of wine and 20 kilos of stones, I guess. Like they have those little snails, the underwater snails
Yeah.
you can find in the vineyard. No problem.
Mm.
New Zealand,
Oh, I guess
what
you
should I
just
say?
just got to look
England.
for the right place. England, clearly. Um, oh, wow, that's going to help me plan my next holiday. So thank you.
So you didn't, okay?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. So you made the round two in 2019. You started at Lyme Bay as a
Yes, I did.
winemaker. Okay.
Just as a harvest winemaker.
Mhm.
Um, but then I went back to Australia for the 2020 Southern Hemisphere vintage. Almost got stuck there because of COVID. Um, but eventually managed to find my way home, and then have been at Lyme Bay full time since June 2020.
When I first did the research on English wine, it was, I guess, 2019 or 2020 when I first had contact with Tommy. I can remember
Mm.
a picture of you with a base cap backwards
Yeah,
as an assistant winemaker or something at Lyme Bay.
I believe.
Yeah, like that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So and what happened? What happened afterwards? Because you became winemaker, head winemaker last year, I guess, 23.
Yeah, so I was assistant winemaker and became winemaker in 22, and then head winemaker in November last year.
Wow, that's a fast track.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie, but it's good. It's been an incredible journey, and it's really nice to sort of feel valued, I think, by the company you work for, because they've obviously invested a lot in me and have wanted to give me this progression. I think the idea was to always sort of train me up on that path, and yeah, it's been great fun, but lots of sleepless nights too. So.
And Lyme Bay is quite big. What is it? 100 hectares? something like this?
Well, so Lyme Bay is we don't have our own vineyards. We source from other English vineyards. So total acreage, I'm unsure, but we tend to average sort of 350 tons per harvest. Last year, though, was like a bumper year, and we did 460 tons. Um, and I don't want to be doing that anytime soon again, because that was a lot. Just for the size that we are and our equipment, we really pushed ourselves to the limit, and I ran out of tanks as well at one point. So, sort of, yeah, 350 should be our kind of capping point at present.
But that is not all you're occupied with. People who might remember Lime Bay from the 90s might remember this sign saying cider company or cidery. So you
Yeah,
have cider or had cider. You stopped it, I
we
guess?
yeah, we had cider. So we were founded as a cider company back in '93, I believe.
Wow.
And from there, we then delved into fruit wines and fruit liqueurs, and then mead, which is a funny one. Um, and and we also do rum and gin. So just if wine isn't your thing, we have something else. Um, but it's a real mix of products. All really lovely. But the production obviously therefore is much bigger. So we make all the other products sort of year round. We do sort of small batch production of those throughout the year, and then have obviously the grape harvest is our busiest point in the autumn. But the cider we did stop last year. So we've kind of veered away from that, and our focus now is predominantly the English wines.
And the mead, so the honey wine is a big thing for
Yes,
you. I was so surprised when I heard that for the first time.
huge. Yeah, there are times we just can't make enough of it. It's it's such an odd concept, I think, for some people. Mead, it's the world's oldest alcoholic drink, you could argue, because it would have occurred naturally in the wild. Um, so it's been around for a very long time, drunk by all sorts of different people. These days, it tends to be associated with sort of like Vikings and sort of like Norse mythology. Um, but we also sell a lot to sort of places like English Heritage and National Trust. And it's just, people just sort of really seem to want to buy it out of sort of curiosity, I think, more than anything. But then they come back for more, so hopefully they like it. But it's very sweet drink, so um, not one that I personally find I can drink a lot of.
So just briefly, what is it? It's just honey, then you add water and yeast, and you start the fermentation starts?
Yeah. So water, honey, yeast. You can add a bit of sugar as well, just to sort of up the sugar content if you like. And yeah, just let it ferment. It's hard to ferment because of the high sugar content, so they can be tricky ferments. Um, and then once it's finished fermentation, we'll blend in sort of some natural flavorings. Um, so we do a whole variety of different ones. So our black cherry mead is probably our most popular flavor at the moment. Mm.
What is the final alcohol level?
11%
Oh,
on
okay.
most of them. We do one that is slightly stronger, 14.5%. But I think it's a bit dangerous because you can't taste the alcohol. Um, I think for me, the 11% ones are kind of good where they are.
Wow. But, I mean, can you draw a picture of the average meat customer?
Um, if we're being stereotypical, I think
Yeah.
there's two kinds of customer. So one is big and beardy and tattooed, and the other is a little old lady.
Wow.
So
That
you've
is
got like opposite ends.
huge
Yeah.
spread. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there any other companies selling meat? Because I've never heard of that, especially in
Yeah,
England.
there's a few in England. We are the biggest, but you've also got people like Gosnells up in London who make some really lovely meads. They do some delicious canned meads, actually. Um, And then down near us here, there's a company called Moon Honey Mead, really, really tiny, but they make lovely bottled, lightly sparkling, which is really refreshing, which is quite nice. And then yeah, you get all sorts of people. There's a new one in York, up north. So mead's quite popular up there because it's sort of a Viking city. York is originally, so mead and Vikings just
belongs together, you mean?
yeah.
Lovely and elegant, and mead wine sounds like a big contradiction. It's I don't know. But I mean, I tried it, but I would definitely prefer wine made out of grapes. So, but
me too, absolutely. But
personal taste.
Personal taste, exactly. And you know, it's nice to have a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah. So you've been working for Lyme Bay or at Lyme Bay for 5 years now. What would you say were your most memorable experiences or lessons learned? Or in other words, what were your 3 Sarah top moments?
Oh, okay. First one, 2020 harvest. I was working the night shift with my boss, and the grapes that year were coming in with high sugar levels, like higher than we expected. And we were like, this is fantastic, really ripe year, gonna make some great wines. One parcel of grapes came in from a vineyard we work with called Crow's Lane in Essex. And I was there, I was doing the analysis, I was testing the sugars, the acids. It's about 2 in the morning at this point. So I'm quite tired, and I was like testing it, and I was like, that's not right. I just kept redoing it, and I kept getting just a really high result with potential alcohol of 14.6%. And I had to go get my boss because I was like, this isn't right. I'm doing something wrong here. And he tested it, and he was like, no, this is it. So, and we were just absolutely blown away that we could have grapes that could ripen to that level in this country. I think that was just a huge eye opener for ourselves, and I think the people we work with, are just what we can achieve going forwards with the right conditions. So that
2020 was a hot vintage, a warm vintage.
2020 was hot, yeah. So the last few years, it's been even years have been hot, odd years have been a bit wet. So hopefully this year we'll see. Don't know how it's going so far.
Yeah, you had all of the rain between November and April, haven't you? So, I mean,
literally all of the rain. Yeah, it didn't stop. So it's been a bit much, but hopefully now we'll get a bit more sunshine. The last few weeks haven't been too bad.
Yeah, I brought some sunshine over.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the first one.
Number one, yeah. Other top moments. Ooh.
Or lessons learned. It could be something totally different.
Ooh. God, I should have thought about these ones. I think I'm going to go another positive one. The first wine that I made that was like 100% mine, which was a Sauvignon Blanc again in 2020. We just did like super small batch. There was like 400 and so bottles, and it was just it was like my first baby. I was like, this wine is, I've created this, I love this. And I think then watching people taste it and drink it and enjoy it, that feeling that it gave me, I was just like, this is amazing. And then it got reviewed by sort of Dr. Jamie Good on his Instagram as well. And it's just like, it's just such a lovely feeling to know that you can make something that people receive well.
Cool.
And now all the wines are like my babies, but that was like my first one, so it just holds a special place.
How many bottles did you put aside?
I've still got 2 at home.
2?
But I think the rest are all gone. So it's sad.
There's 2 left. So.
2 left.
And the last one, or the third one? Maybe not the last one.
Third one.
We can postpone the question if you just want to. I have enough questions with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You can, if maybe something pops in your mind, and then you can say, "Oh yeah, this was it." What you don't know is maybe, I don't know if you have listened to the episodes with Guillaume, Mary, or Tommy. I have a little
No, not
game.
yet. Oh God.
It's called Red or Wine. Red or
Hmm.
white, sorry. And it's either or questions, and you should take one direction, and we talk about it in a second or two. And interestingly, you already answered maybe one or two without knowing what
Okay.
I wanted to ask. First section is life, and the second one later on is wine. The first question is day shift or night shift? So early bird or night owl?
Mm, I used to be night shift, but now day shift. I like an early morning.
Oh, why that? Why did that change?
I don't know. I think it's just getting older. I just sort of I like
Okay, interesting. So you chose to work or to start early instead of going late out night and partying, or both
Yeah,
in
oh
parallel?
God, I want to be in bed by 9.
Okay,
I,
interesting. Yeah, it's totally fine. I mean,
yeah,
things change.
I'm over that now. I mean, every once in a while it's nice to go out, but I'd much rather be in bed by 9. Yeah, and then get up early and get on with the day.
Okay. So when you stop working at maybe 5 or something, you go to a pub and you want to go to bed at 9 p.m. At the pub, breakfast or Guinness?
Guinness.
Guinness. Okay. What do you think about Buckfast?
I love it. Bucky's great.
Everybody loves it. I've never
It's
tasted it.
what? Okay,
Yeah,
we're
Phoebe
gonna
just
get you
texted me. She said Tommy would be absolutely stunned to share a bottle with you. He would love it.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
on the list for November. Yeah,
It's it's Bucky's really special. There's
heard that.
there's nothing quite like it. I, it's just yeah, it's wine and sugar and caffeine. So it's just like it's yeah, it's a good drink. And it's they sell it I found it when I was in Australia. I found a shop that sold it, and I was just like, oh my God.
It sounds like a functional drink, they call it nowadays. Yeah, it refreshes. There's caffeine
Yeah.
in it.
Mm.
Wow.
Keeps you going. Yeah.
Okay. Traveling the world or sitting in one place? Settling in one place.
Traveling.
Still? Cool.
Yeah.
You just been to Italy?
I've just been to Italy, yeah. And now I want to go somewhere else. It's just, when you just sort of like get the bug again. I feel like I've not had a proper holiday for ages. And I went away and I was just like, oh, I forgot how nice this is, just being somewhere different with different things to do, different food, different culture. And I was just like, oh, I need to do more of this.
So you just came back and you immediately start planning the next one.
Oh, absolutely.
That's good. So maybe this might be the answer to the next question. Planning ice ages ahead or embracing spontaneity?
Ooh, I would like to be a planner, but I'm quite chaotic, so I think I'm better at the being spontaneous.
Okay. But I mean, that could be a combination of both. It's just tough to
Yeah,
manage. So.
yes, I think combination, but definitely hard to manage.
Okay, and then maybe two more play on words with dinosaurs. Having a pet stegosaurus or a pack of loyal velociraptors, like a gang or something.
Oh, velociraptors.
Definitely. Okay. So
Yeah.
people who don't know them, like the bad guys with the huge, how do you call it?
As a claw?
Yeah, it's kind of a claw, a huge
Or
claw.
talon? Yeah. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And last one, talking about food preferences: Stegosaurus ribeye or chomping on juicy ferns.
Stegosaurus ribeye.
Okay, I can imagine that.
Sorry, I know you're a veggie. I'm sorry.
No worries. Totally fine. Could be tough to find a Stegosaurus ribeye, but in general, yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
I'll try.
Okay, but maybe let's grab this immediately. Where does this interest for dinosaurs or this love? You just said it's a deep love for dinosaurs. Where does it come from?
Uh, I think it's from partly still being a child in my brain quite a lot. Um, and I think obviously when you grew up, there's sort of all these films like so you've got Jurassic Park, you've got oh what's the one with the little baby dinosaurs?
You mean the comic?
Yeah,
What is it? I only know the German name, but like Once Upon a Time or something.
I can't remember. It's cool. But yeah, there's like you just sort of watch these things as a kid, and then I think when you grow up, so that they stay as like a comfort for you. So then like I'll like always go back and watch like Jurassic Park and things, and then I just love it. And then you get all these sort of like uh sort of nature style documentaries, but about dinosaurs, and I just find it fascinating that like these obviously these creatures were there and walked the same earth as us, and it's just so it's just interesting to know what happened before, because obviously as humans we've been here for like this much time, and the world is like
Yeah,
this.
ages.
So it's just
Over.
yeah. So I think it just comes from like a curiosity, um, more than anything.
So it's not from your parents, and it's just by accident that you
No.
are the same. You have the same name, like the main actor in the comic you just mentioned, Sarah, the Triceratops.
Mm. Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any influence on the winemaking or the labels or I don't know the wine names?
No. No, they're all just generic. I'm not allowed to start calling the wines after dinosaurs. Not yet.
It could be interesting.
I'll work on it. I'll slip a name in there so people don't realize. Get it approved, and then it'll be too late by the time they realize.
Okay, that is funny. Nice one. Okay, what does a typical day look like for you as a winemaker, especially in the peak winemaking season? Because some people think that winemakers don't work until harvest. So what is the
We
usual, what
don't.
does the day look like? We don't.
uh,
Tasting honey for the meat. Hmm.
yeah. No, I do eat the honey sometimes. It's very nice. Uh, so yeah, typical day. So during harvest when it's busy is so early start unloading grapes that have been delivered overnight. So doing analysis, so testing sorts of sugars, acids, tasting it because that is just as important. So we can basically work out where those grapes are going to go. So I'll have a plan pre-harvest of sort of what grapes I think will go into what wines, what styles we'll make. But as with anything, it can change. So it's sort of down to that final moment when you've got the grapes in front of you that you know what they're going to do. And then we'll go to pressing. Processing the grapes, pressing to tank to settle. And then I'll sort of leave the team doing that, move on to sort of my rackings, putting on ferments, sort of tidying things up. Um, and and then sort of later in the harvest we sort of move on to the red ferments, which require more management. So I spend quite a lot of time doing sort of like manual punch downs, sort of 3 times a day.
Wow.
So it's just yeah, a lot of physical stuff during harvest, a lot of moving around, which is good because my step count goes up. Um, and and we're sort of looking at probably sort of like 14-hour days usually, sometimes more depending. Um, Outside of harvest, massively changes day to day. So at the moment, we're sort of doing a lot of bottling.
Mhm.
So we're sort of prepping wines first thing in the morning, getting them ready to go. So again, just running through all the analysis, tasting it off, making sure we're happy with it. And then, unfortunately, sitting down at my computer, going through emails. um,
As well.
uh, Yeah, and sort of booking all the liquid, doing all reports. There's a lot of admin that goes into winemaking that they don't tell you about when you start.
Yes.
uh, So, yeah, so I do. What I found is that the more responsibility I get, the more paperwork there is.
Is there any
But
contract winemaking at Lyme Bay?
yeah, we do a little bit. So we do some for Limpston Manor, which is a Michelin star restaurant, which is run by Michael Caine. So they have their own vineyard and we make wines. And then we do some for a couple of our vineyards in Essex as well. So we've got Riverview, in the Crouch Valley, and we do a little bit for Crouch Ridge Vineyard as well.
How far is Crouch Valley from your place?
Uh, Depending on traffic, you can probably drive it in 5 hours. Um, so it's quite a way. So that's Essex, so in the southeast. So we're down in the southwest.
Why do you choose? I mean, you're an amazing winemaker, as far as I know, but why do I choose to make my wines with a company that is 5 hours away?
Yeah. Well, so they're great growers anyway. So we have sort of long-standing contracts with them. So we purchase their fruit
Okay.
anyway, and then we also then make some wine from it and send it back to them. So it's a bit of a give and take.
Okay. So you have your normal winemaking, you have the admin stuff, you have contract winemaking. That's a
Mm.
lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
What do you think? You
But
will you still be growing as a winery? Purchase
yeah,
fruit?
I mean, we're still growing just in terms of our current plantings with people because there's a lot of them are quite young vines, so the crop's going to get a little bit bigger year on year for the next few years. And then we'll sort of see where we go from there. Where that levels out, we're currently looking at building a new winery, which will give us a bit more space, have better equipment. So then, if we do want to grow further, we have the capabilities on that side of it too.
Okay. Going back to the question with the three, let's say,
Mm.
experiences, what was the most challenging moment you had in the last maybe 5 to 10 years? Like
Um,
facing a ferocious T-Rex or something.
um, so there's one, I think I've got a good learning moment that I had in Australia. So I was working at quite a large winery, um, and it had a few different sort of tank farms across different sites, but you could send wine from one to the other because they were just sort of like these big built-in steel pipes that you could connect up. Um, and I learned the lesson of double and triple check everything you do. Because there was one little bend that I hadn't connected, and so I was sending the wine. I was like, why is it not coming to the other end? And it was because I'd missed a bit, so it was just going out onto the gravel. And I lost, I think, about 3,000 liters of wine, and it
And you
was
flooded the winery.
no, well, it was outside, so it was
Okay.
fine. And yeah, it was a huge site, but it was I was like mortified because it's something that I was like I should have known that. But after that, I've just like every time you do anything, you walk through your process and you just make sure that you've checked everything because it's not worth it.
Yeah, and if just everyone tells you just double check everything, you say, yeah, but you need the
Yeah,
experience. Yeah.
you actually need to. I think it's learning the hard way, but it helped.
Yes. I mean, generally, what advice would you give to young, especially aspiring winemakers, maybe also women looking to make their mark in the wine industry?
For me, I just say because of how I got into it and my reservations, I think I just say to people, just go for it, just try it. I think you don't know what you're capable of until you do it, and I think it's my sort of my confidence that held me back. And I think for a lot of young women as well, especially in the sort of wine industry, they have the same problem because it is still male dominated. Um, and so I just think, what have you got to lose? Just go out there, take that opportunity, take the risks, and go for it because amazing things can happen.
I love that. Yeah, and the try and error thing is like it's so big and everybody's just afraid of doing it. So thanks for sharing that. And thanks for sharing your personal story. And before we go to maybe just 5 minutes chat about Lyme Bay, I would like to do the second part of the red or white game, talking about wine,
Hmm.
old world or new world wines.
Old world.
Okay, what specifically? Only maybe one question later. Sparkling or still wine?
Still.
Still Burgundy or Rhone reds?
Burgundy.
Oh, you said Burgundy.
Yeah.
I was expecting Rhone.
No, I'm all about Burgundy these days.
Red or white?
Red, but tricky.
It's tricky. Okay.
Mm.
So mostly Pinot from
Mm.
Burgundy. Expensive lady.
Well, but I'd also, as a slightly cheaper alternative, but I think also excellent value for money, I drink a lot of Beaujolais.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is what few people consider
Mm.
under the umbrella of Burgundy. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. There's some great price value cruise from Beaujolais as well. And they
exactly.
have like the body of a good Pinot. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
definitely.
And a bit off topic, mead or cider?
Cider.
Cider?
I'm
What
a
do you
big
think
I'm a
about
big cider drinker.
this? What is what I wanted to ask in general because
Mm.
I discovered cider. I would say again in England. There's some great stuff going on. Guillaume made this 3 year second fermentation bottle aged cider. That's
Mm.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
sounds
such a
great.
great quality. And when you go to
Mm.
a normal pub in England, you have, I don't know, 4 beers on the tap and 4 ciders.
Hmm. Yeah,
So it's still a big thing.
it's still a big thing. Yeah, definitely. I think especially down where I am in the West Country, it's cider country, so you get all sorts around here. But it's probably what I drink most of, like when I'm surrounded by wine at work and tasting wine all day. Often at the weekend, I just go, oh, I'll just have a pint of cider. I don't want wine right now.
Okay. So then it's even more surprising to me that Lyme Bay said no cider anymore. Maybe it's a
Well,
focus.
I think the thing was we're doing so many products already, and where we are, a lot of people make cider. Um, so it's quite a saturated market, and I think we just thought, you know what, let's just, step out of that one, leave it to people who specify in it, and it gives us more time to focus on the other things. I might, I mean, I would love to maybe bring back a little bit of cider and do something small batch, like bottle fermented, like you were saying. That would be kind of the vibe I would want to do with the cider. Just a little something.
So you say, or Lyme Bay says, we have so much going on. We would love to focus on the things we're really passionate about, and this is wine. How
Yes.
would you describe the winemaking philosophy or your philosophy at Lyme Bay?
Um, I mean, our philosophy is pretty much to make the best wine from the best grapes from the best vineyards. Um, so it's sort of why we work with lots of different growers across England, so we can sort of pick and choose the best fruit, and make the best wines we can with them.
And I mean, generally in the wine cellar, is it what is it? I guess it's a cultured yeast because you have
Yes.
many
Yeah,
wines. Okay.
yeah, because we've got lots of different things going on, and because cider was made here for 30 years, um, we do use cultured yeast just to so we can sort of pick the strains that we want to utilize as best, because it's a hive of culture out there at the moment.
And there's many fresh wines, if I remember correctly. Like I love the Shoreline, for
Hmm.
example. So basically stainless steel, I guess.
Yes, we do a mixture of styles. So we've got your sort of fresh, floral, fruity, across a few different whites. So we've got the Shoreline, the Bacchus, got a rosé, and then we sort of move into sort of like a wines a little bit more complex, whether it's just from a bit of aging or a small amount of oak usage. So we've got our Bacchus block, and our rosé reserve. And then we've got sort of like the more premium styles, which are sort of oak dominant, so like our Chardonnays, our Pinots, and then we do our single estate wines, which are again sort of really small batch from a single vineyard rather than from a selection, just sort of focusing on one parcel of fruit that's sort of elevated, which are always 100% oak, and have got a bit more age to them to sort of develop well.
Have you ever played with Bacchus in oak?
Yes.
Does
So
that work?
Bacchus block. Yeah, it does, and I think there's a few interesting ones out there as well. You sort of the market is sort of getting a few more sort of Bacchus Fume styles. Our Bacchus block is only sort of partially oaked, about sort of 22% of the wine is aged in ex-Bordeaux Sauvignon Blanc casks. So it's very minimal in terms of the oak use, but there are some styles out there which do use a little bit more oak. And I think it when it's done well, it is lovely. Just adds a little bit more body, more complexity.
I can remember Bacchus block, but I couldn't remember that it was made in oak. So yeah. Well, like the powerful version of Bacchus.
Yes, yeah, Bacchus on steroids.
What about skin fermentation, maceration on Bacchus?
Again, with the Bacchus block, we used a very small amount, so it's had 6 hours. So it's by no means an orange wine. You just get a little bit more sort of phenolic extraction from it. But I think I would like to play around with more skin contact in the future. We do get some small amounts of Pinot Gris from a couple of our growers. So I think with the right year, the right sort of parcel of that, I think that could be really nice to play around with. See how we go from there.
It's definitely a great variety to play with skin contact.
Yeah.
We already talked about like climate issues, climate change, and it feels like we're entering kind of a new prehistoric era, and less an ice age and more like a warm period. So, what do you think are the main challenges over the next years?
So I think in terms of the climate change, our biggest challenge is if it gets wetter as well as warmer. Because at the moment it's kind of 1 year on, 1 year off. Whilst the temperatures are sort of gradually increasing, it's just the damp we have to worry about, and sort of making sure we're planting the right clones, as well as the right varieties, to sort of to cope with the conditions as they develop. So we work with planted sort of a lot of specific still wine clones of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay rather than the sparkling clones. And I think which just makes a difference as the weather gets warmer. I think more and more people are looking to produce still wines. But I think if you're doing it from the sparkling style of clones, you just will never get that sort of same depth and complexity as you will from the still specific. So it's just, yeah, there's a few things, and I think just not outgrowing ourselves, I think, is important at the moment, because there's so much hype around English wine. I think everyone sort of wants to jump on that bandwagon and make the wine and grow. But I think if we get a bit too excited, we'll sort of get a little bit ahead of ourselves. So I think it's just sort of we want to sort of play it safe and sort of see how the market goes for the next few years. Because I think it is growing steadily, which is wonderful to see.
I forgot my question. Damn it. Damn it. What was the question? Because another question might be what will be some exciting future projects, but there was something that popped into my head when you were talking about the parcels and the clones and stuff. What is the share of still and sparkling at Lyme Bay? Because I guess it differs to the normal English 70 sparkling, 30 still share.
Sorry, I lost you for the beginning of that bit.
Sorry. Usually you have this 70 sparkling, 30 still share in English at English wineries, in English wine. What is your share at the winery? I guess it's different, isn't it?
So we're kind of the opposite. So we do, it's about 75% still wine, 25% sparkling.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, so I mean, like obviously we've spoken a lot about our still wines, but we do make sparkling as well. We just do sort of smaller volumes because it's never been our focus. We really wanted to get in on that still wine market. But I think we'd have been foolish not to make sparkling wines. So we do sort of we've got a sort of the sort of lighter, fresher styles of sparkling, like our Brut Reserve, our sparkling rosé, and then we do sort of smaller batches of our premium sort of vintage sparkling. So we've got classic cuvee, Blanc de Blanc,
Yeah.
and a Blanc de Noir at some point.
And just to give you the credits for that, I mean, I'm a wine marketing guy, and when I first saw the bottles, I thought it's like, what an amazing branding. I mean, those labels that reminded me a bit of Dom Perignon,
Yeah,
this the shape and the color.
yeah, we get that
Well made.
actually a lot. Yeah, I don't. I mean, they were designed long before my time, and we've stuck with them. I think because people do seem to like them. They do stand out. So
Recognizable. Yeah, stands out.
yes, yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so looking ahead, what exciting projects or releases can we look forward to from Lyme Bay in the near future?
So near future, our 22 vintage Pinot Noir and Chardonnay will be out this year, which I'm super excited about because 22 was a nice hot vintage, great ripeness levels in terms of sugar, but also the physiological ripeness, so the complexity of flavor. So I think the Pinot Noir, especially, I think it might be our best one to date. So I'm super excited to move on to that vintage. And then we've got a few little bits and bobs from the 23 harvest that will be coming through. So hopefully another little small batch of Sauvignon Blanc.
Back to roots.
And yes, and yeah, just I think the wines are shaping up really nicely from the last few vintages. I'm actually quite excited about some sparklings. Um,
Mhm.
so got a Blanc de Noir that will
All
hopefully
traditional.
be, yes, yeah. So we haven't made it, I think, since 2017, so before my time. So I just thought I'd bring back just a really small amount. So I've got about 1,000 bottles of that will be coming through in the next year or two, probably. Needs a little bit more time lilies first, but I think it's going to be quite yummy.
Sounds amazing. And you said you're coming out with a great Pinot Noir. Better than the single vineyard, the single plot Pinot Noir you had?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I think as our sort of like main style of Pinot Noir, I think it's definitely um, probably the best one. I think just the concentration of the fruit was incredible. Um, so I just really excited to get that into bottle. We're sort of blending it at the moment, and then hopefully bottling in the next month.
And probably sitting around 13.5 or something, because you said 22 might be
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
four.
it was a hot one.
But
Um,
that's so cool.
it's really cool. And it tastes. I mean, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't taste English. If you know what I mean. I know we're moving away from that term because English wines now obviously are incredible sort of across the board. But it tastes like a hot climate. So I think it's just super exciting.
And I mean, there is some arguments on planting varieties such as Divico to get fuller bodied reds in England, but it's good to
Mm,
see that people, especially you, can show that there is Pinot with 13 plus alcohol and a fuller body you can produce in England.
absolutely.
Exciting.
Yeah. Oh
Fergus
yeah.
would love it. Yeah. Last question for today. What was the last wine that really stood out for you? Personal question again. Talking about Pinot, maybe?
Ooh. Um, just because I'm still in my holiday spirit.
I
Um,
was waiting for Ingrid. Yeah.
um, it's nothing fancy, nothing like amazing, but just I think when you're somewhere drinking wine from that place, it just creates a much more magical moment. So I was basically staying near Lake Garda, so it's not far from the Bardolino region. So I was just there eating pizza, drinking a nice chilled glass of Bardolino, and I was like, this is the perfect moment. It just
Red.
everything sort of worked. Yes, yeah.
Hmm.
So I love a light chilled red. I think it's just so refreshing and fruity. Um, and it's it's not the most complex wine. It's not going to be for everyone, but I think just in that time, in that moment, it was beautiful. So I really enjoyed that.
Nice. What is it called in marketing? Country of origin effect.
Yeah.
And I mean, you said Lago di Garda. There is another appellation. It's called Lugana. It's an
Hmm.
appellation for a white, and Trebbiano basically is the variety. And it's only bought in Italy, across around Lake Garda, and in Munich.
I mean,
Yes,
why?
Munich is the most northern city of Italy because everybody goes down for holidays on Lago di Garda, and then they take the wine with them.
Yeah.
And then it's raining in Munich. They open the bottle, and it's like, I don't like it.
Not so much.
No, this is the Lugana effect.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
don't know
Yeah, I
if you
get
brought a bottle of Bardolino. Try it at home.
that.
Yes. Okay. Thanks for sharing it. This interview has been a real Jurassic exploration for me. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and the patience you had with all my dino jokes.
No, it's been great. I loved it. Thank you.
Hope to seeing you in November. I will be there, maybe
Yes.
late October. Let's see.
Well,
And
let me know. I mean, I'll be here probably. So
probably.
yeah.
When
I
does the
mean,
harvest start usually? Or
so
the grapes coming in?
usually grapes usually start sort of like third week of September, thereabouts, and finish sort of end of October. But if it's like later year, sometimes it sort of edges into November. But we'll still have all the red ferments going. So if you want to come down and give me a hand.
Definitely will, because I can remember last year we visited, the students and me, we visited your place at
Mm.
the beginning of October, and you were waiting for the
Yeah.
first grapes. Maybe it was
Oh,
too
really?
cold in 23 or something.
It was, I think it was a bit
It
delayed.
was postponed or something for 1 week.
Yeah, I think we had like a little, we had like a small parcel in and then a bit of a break, I think. So we were kind of like ready to go and then it just didn't go.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, definitely I will be there maybe 2 weeks before. So we'll keep you updated.
Perfect.
Okay. So thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Talk
And
to you soon.